bands. I don't know. I mean, it's close enough either way.
Yeah. So you guys came right in the middle of a question that I was asking to get the question and answer session kicked off. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Ham Nuggets. This is we don't know what we're going to do tonight, so let's just do a Q&A. And what we were talking about is I've been testing some HTs and I've been using some RG58 coax and I can't get their rated power out, which, HTs being what they are. But I've also tested some fancier and more expensive, more brand name radios that everybody likes to worship. The ICOM 705, for example, and I'm getting 9.88 watts out of an ICOM 705 attached to an external battery. So I was wondering if it was the coax. And we were thinking it might be like a VHF UHF issue, but the ICOM at 9.88 watts was on 20 meters. So I don't know.
And what I was telling Steve, I would be curious to see what the results were on other bands.
Yeah. So more research is necessary, but
I mean,
you want to use the
9.88
shortest length of coax you can.
9.88 is almost 10.
Yes, but is 4 almost 5?
For large values of 4, yeah. I mean, 9.88 is a large value of 9, and it's almost 10.
Well, I mean, so this brings up the question that the Zygu 6200, it's an 8-watt radio instead of a 10-watt radio. Are you really going to notice those 2 watts? I get that you'll notice from 5 to 10, but will you notice from 8 to 10?
Well, and Lee, it could be a measurement error. It could absolutely be. It could be coax
in front of people.
Coax differences. It could be barometric pressure. It could be your altitude. It could be what you ate for dinner last night. The last time your wife yelled at you, made the radio sad. I mean, there's like a whole ton of factors that
you've met my wife. She yells at me all the time,
and you probably deserve it.
I do.
I think your wife is nice. But
yeah, she's nice to other people.
I don't stay with her, so
right. I'm kidding.
Jesus.
My wife is nice all the time.
Is Chris in the room?
No.
Okay.
She's upstairs.
But I mean, there's a lot of factors, and the band, the frequency would be one of them, and yeah, the coax is going to matter too. But as far as I know, RG58 is 50 ohm coax, and where you see power loss is as you get into higher frequencies. So at HF frequencies, I would think you should see very high power relative to your radio, of course. And then maybe if you get up into 2 meter and 70 centimeter, then it's going to taper off at those frequencies, because I don't know why, but an HT that puts out 5 watts on VHF ain't going to put out 5 watts on UHF a lot of times.
Right. Well, yeah, it's an entirely different set of filters and everything. Real quick, Brian, go ahead and drop your questions. Everybody else, drop your questions, whatever you want. Just
and I'll star them. Yes.
Question in front so we can catch them. Todd is saying that my wife has the patience of a saint, and he is correct. She actually enjoyed hanging out with all of us at Huntsville, so she's looking forward to it. She's like, we will go to Huntsville again. So
sweet.
Done.
Awesome. Let's see. Yes, Andy's wife flipped him off to his face during our Zoom call last week. Mrs. Andy don't take no crap off of that tall Wookiee man. She said no.
Well, like Mrs. Zach the other day on our field day stream.
Right. Yeah, I think Mrs. Zach was giving Zach the once over.
Oh, it was hilarious though. Like, yeah, Zach, you get to sleep on the couch. You get to relax and chill and watch the show you want to watch.
Right.
Thank you, Don.
Don, it was actually nice. Don portrays himself as my nemesis, like we're arch enemies or something, like Batman and the Joker. Don and I hung out and had a great time.
Right.
He's actually a nice old geezer, honestly.
Andy, that's what she tells you. Just saying.
Lee said 9.88 out of 10 is like 0.05 dB.
Yeah. It is. It's nothing to complain about. It's just, I want to provide as accurate enough information as I can while... Have you set up 2 power supplies in your shack? How do you set up 2 power supplies in your shack? I want to provide accurate information, but at the same time, I also want to provide approachable information. Buying a a $200 radio and a $2,000 oscilloscope to prove that it puts out 5 watts doesn't make a bit of sense. You know,
Listen, son, I can sell you an oscilloscope for
you can't
much
even
less than
say it.
2,000. I can't even say it right now. Much less than $2,000. Now, what you tell your wife it costs and what it actually costs, that's secret between ham bros. But
Right. David, member for 8 months. Thank you very much, David. And we have our first couple of questions. So YV6EDA is saying how to set up 2 power supplies in your shack. And David, I don't know why I called you David. I don't know what your first name is. YV6EDA, my answer to that would be separate them by functionality. So like if you have a VHF, UHF station and an HF station, put those on 2 different power supplies. So you can, transmit, 2-meter packet data or talk on your 2-meter repeater while you're transmitting HF data over FT8 or something like that. Or again, separating by functionality, have all your test bench stuff on one power supply and have all of your
yeah,
radio stuff on another power supply. But separation of functions that makes logical sense in your own head. So you can go, why is this radio not working? Oh, it's because I didn't turn on the other power supply across the room, and it makes sense to you.
and the other thing I would say, and I believe his name is Jorge because I looked him up on the Zed. Jorge, the other thing I would tell you is I don't want my HF radio potentially on the same power supply as a 2-meter rig on the off chance that I may key up at the same time on 2 microphones. It can't happen this way. So, I doubt that I'm ever going to do that, but.
Right. Well, I've done it, but I did it because I think I was trying to talk to somebody on, like 10 meters and over the 2-meter repeater to verify that the contact was working. And then, like, I was talking about this on Hayden Stream last night. My whole station shut down because the power supply couldn't handle it.
That would do it.
Chris, he's thinking about Waffle House.
Chris Bricker, yes, there is. It is generally almost always the first Wednesday of the month. We posted in the supporters Discord champagne room. We posted on the car community for members only. We posted on each of our individual communities for members only. And we would love to have you. With
Chris, it is
35
not showing me that you are a member on YouTube of my channel, which is perfectly okay because you could be a Patreon supporter, or you
right.
could be a supporter of Car. Just let me know. What I'll do is after the show, I will take a look because I'm, kind of busy right now.
Right.
Unless Jim wants to take over for a minute.
Jim can talk questions while you look that up. I don't care. It's fine with me.
Awesome.
Either way. Doc Brad, Evening Boys 499 is almost 5, just like Chinese radio wattage ratings.
I'm not complaining. I just, the one thing that has to happen when you're on
Exactly.
YouTube is people have to complain in comments. So if I say this radio is 4 watts when it's rated at 5, that gives them something to argue about.
I mean, I'm looking every time, is it in the neighborhood, the ballpark? If they say 5 watts and it's putting out 3 watts on VHF call, number one, okay, no. And number two, I know it ain't going to have 5 watts on UHF. That's kind of bogus. But I mean, 4.88 out of 5 or 9.88 out of 10 is good enough. Jorge just joined and became a member. Jorge?
Awesome, Jorge, thank you.
Thank you. Brian Hendricks, your question is cute. I got a couple other things I want to do first. David Wilson has dropped a $7.99 Digirig super chat. So, David, thank you very much. Steve will dance for you. No? Okay.
These membership things are not, they're not in alphabetical order and they are not sortable. So I'm just scrolling.
Yeah. VE5SAR, that Canuckian that we met at Dayton, Mr. Jody, has dropped a 988.
See?
A 988 Canuckistanian super chat. What do we call those? Loonies.
There he is. Loonies.
9.88
right.
loonies.
Chris, I found you on
Thank you, Jody.
Coffee and Ham Radio's membership roll. Thank you very much. Let me go over to the Discord and find you over there.
Don, holy crap, the chat is rolling. Don has gifted 5 memberships to your channel. Mike Smith, Chris Bricker, Jason KB1WSE.
Don, just 5 minutes earlier, and I wouldn't have had to do all that searching.
Tall Florida Todd and Iowa Hank got a membership from the Don. Awesome. Don, thank you. Izzo, my chair is really ratty brown, but the chair still sits very well. But usually there's a cat up here a lot of times, so it looks like there's been a cat up there. And if I have the green screen up, I'd rather get rid of the chair completely. And I'm too lazy to put a black cover on it because I don't have one. Send me a black cover, I'll put it on it if I'm not using the green screen. But the chair is actually brown.
Somebody posted in the members only, well, not the members only room, in the Coffee and Ham Radios room, a 12 amp hour Ryobi tool battery. That just seems excessive. Like you could go for days.
But that's 18 volts. I was almost positive it said 18 volts.
It is 18 volts, but I mean, could you imagine using that on your like your cordless drill? When would you need to recharge?
Right. Man, the Florida Todd, Tall Florida Todd, just dropped the $10 super chat. And Jeff, KS0JD, our favorite buddy in Kansas, well, one of our favorite Kansas buddies, because we've got more than one, has become a member.
Yes.
All right.
So, Chris, you have been a member for quite a while. You've been in the chat room for quite a while. So I'd say, yes, you are missing a stream.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we got from Brian? I did field day for a moment on 14280 and made sure the frequency was clear. I think I started World War III with South America when I started calling CQ field day. What did I do wrong? Nothing. You did nothing wrong. South America is probably not participating in ARRO field day, even though they have no reason not to. I mean, they can. There's no rule that says you can't. The only thing would be is if you were in the middle of their net, or if you were in the middle of a QSO that you didn't hear. But I know you're a smart man. I know that you checked to see if the frequency was in use, and you listened, and listened again. But I think everybody else is on your side, just like I am. John says nothing wrong. David says
switch to 14.300 and roll on with your life, Brian.
See, I'm actually on the side of the Maritime Mobile boys. I like them. Because if I'm ever trying anything, I just tune to 14300 and check into the net.
And see if you can hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like tuning to 14074. Like, yep, there's signals there. The band's open.
I have no problem with the net. I just think it's stupid if they're not having the net for some Karen to be on there. This is the Maritime Mobile net. Are you having the net? No, then STFU. I'm just saying.
I think they're technically always having the net.
Okay, so they own the frequency, is what you're saying.
Okay, so putting this into the gentleman's agreement terms to make it okay in my mind, in my world, there is almost always somebody there, and they are providing a valuable service, and they de facto own the frequency. They don't legally own the frequency. They're just like, if you and I had a QSO for 24 hours straight on 14312, we technically have owned the frequency in the sense, like, you know. Well, we're in public here, but I was going to say in the sense like I owned your mom, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was getting at.
Right.
What the hell? Somebody else said.
Okay, so are mom jokes fair game on this show now?
They technically always have been.
Game on, Garth.
Right? Party on, Garth. There was something that scrolled by when we were talking about.
Oh, let's see.
Will Car be represented at HamCon Zion? I think Chuck might be going. I don't think anybody else is going. I was unable to make it for a variety of very good excuses, actually. My wife has to go to Norfolk to see her granddaughter perform at one of her activities. So, can't go. And then I have 2 trucks in the shop, because that's what happens when you have more than one vehicle and only need one. They both break at the same time.
Well, the questions are rolling. I'm starring stuff. We're way behind.
Oh, wow. Okay, let me get through some of this stuff. That was Brian's question.
Redheaded Shane was in a car accident. He got T-boned.
Well, you're alive and happy here, so.
Is she older with better insurance?
Well, that could be Misery, too, because she played in that movie also. How's your ankle, Shane? Are you recovering in a bed, typing from a laptop?
No, James Whited, there is no shag carpet. No, that was her yelling cowabunga and going crazy in the parking lot at the Walmart, I think.
Right. Right.
I've never actually seen the movie other than like that scene because my wife has watched it. But
Well, have you seen Misery?
I read the book, the movie. I'm not really a fan
Yeah.
of Kathy Bates to begin with.
Yeah. Well, in the movie, she is in a car accident with some guy who winds up being her favorite author
He's
or something like that.
he's in a car accident. He's her favorite author. It's a Stephen King novel. I read it years
Right.
ago. It's been out for probably 20 years or more. He's in a car accident. She's his hugest number one fan. And so she finds him and takes him home to, I will love him and hug him and squeeze him and I will name him George.
And then doesn't
And then he tries
let
to
him go.
escape, and I think she cuts his foot off or something, so he can't
hits him
get
with a
away.
baseball bat or a sledgehammer, breaks both his ankles.
Yeah, I mean, Kathy Bates is just 87 bags of crazy in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chris is asking a question. Anyone else have issues with their Digirig 891 from Digirig? My new Digirig for the 891 was not available to pick the audio drivers in either Mac or Windows. I don't have an 891 anymore. I sold it to one of the Toads, and I don't have the Digirig for the 891, but I don't see why it wouldn't be available. I think it's just a CM108 chip in there, and that's a universal driver. So no is the short answer to that. Go into Device Manager and remove it entirely, then unplug it, then reboot, then try and add the driver if they give you one. If not, then plug it back in and see if it pops back up again. But that's a pain. It should just show up on the Mac though.
Okay, hang on. I'm confused about this question. The 981? What is a
He
981?
typed it wrong. It is a
Twice.
Digirig. Yeah, it's a Digirig that's made specifically for the Yaesu FT891, which does not have a built-in sound card.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
so
All the
it's a single cable with a fat blob in the middle. That's the CM108
Yeah.
chip.
So, also, Chris, something to check. Those Digirigs, unscrew the end of it and slide it out. There's
This
a
is a new
board.
one. It doesn't do that.
It doesn't do that. Okay, well, then never mind. Disregard
We pull
that.
up a website.
That deprecated information. Mine, I have one, and it's on my to-do list to fix it up for this Yaesu.
It
So when I
might.
sell this
might.
1200, I can sell the Digirig with it.
Sorry, Jim, stand by.
But there's standing by.
Stand by. Because this is different. So they just announced two new products. One of them is this DR891, and the other one is the Digirig Lite. And this looks like it's just special cables. So this lower cable is the USB-C cat control, and this upper cable is the 6-pin audio, and then it goes into the regular Digirig mobile.
Go back to the cables. The bottom part.
Yeah, so
That's a host cable.
it's the USB printer cable, yeah. So that's what's on the back of the 891 and the 6-pin mini DIN port. And I'm pointing at my screen with my finger, which doesn't help you guys at all.
Oh, that's one cable. I'm looking at two ends of a cable. There's no host port. There's no USB host port on the back of an 891.
Yeah, there is. Hang on, son. Look at you getting all twisted over there.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing that because I had to put a signal link on it.
See? There you go. Top dead center.
Some bitch. Okay, never mind. I wonder, have they changed that maybe?
Nope. That's the way mine was from 2018.
Okay. I didn't remember that on mine. I had one a couple, 3 years ago. Maybe I was thinking of my 706. I don't know.
The 706 does not have a USB
Yeah,
port on it at
it
all.
doesn't have one. I didn't remember it on the 891 though. Okay.
So I don't remember what the sound card is in the actual Digirig mobile device itself. Maybe this is a different box internally? Because that's a pink port, and I don't remember the Digirig having a pink port. I thought it had black and green. But I'm not sharing that tab. Hold on. Where did it go? There it is. It's in the middle. I'm not trying to make you dizzy. It's just the way this picture works. Yeah, that's pink, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And the regular Digirig is green. So it might still have that same thing. So what Jim was going to say, I'll let you finish. It was open it up and there's some solder blobs inside, right?
Yeah, you can change the original Digirig from ICOM to Yaesu to Kenwood and a couple other variations. There's about 6 pads in there, and just whichever combination makes it handle the signals for that particular radio cable combination. So one Digirig box can do digital for multiple radios. You just have to buy different cable sets, which they don't
So I have one for the
exactly
Lab
tell you, but
599 Discovery and for the
yeah,
FT81H and for the Xiegu 5105 G90.
yeah.
I have cables. Then I have like two of the little black boxes because they're cool because they're small. All right, next question up here is David Wilson. What's the quickest way to hook a floor switch and Shure mic to my 7100 so I can use it when I stream or transmit?
That depends on the radio specifically. You have
So
to
let's say
know
that the
how the
Shure
mic
mic,
is wired.
yeah. Let's assume the Shure mic has an XLR cable. What I would say is go on eBay and search for ICOM 7100 XLR cable adapter. Let's assume the Shure mic is a regular, normal studio type mic because it's actually a pretty high quality mic. And then you need like a PTT or operate on Vox. Don't fall asleep because we'll hear you snoring over the air.
Let's see.
Oh, you were just sitting still. I thought you were frozen.
No, I'm not. I'm going back through all the questions.
I was like, no comment, no nothing.
4-5, I'm with you. I'm going to channel 9 on my marine radio. I'm not going to call
Right.
the geezer net on HF.
So there's two different kinds of emergencies. And so this is one of the things that I haven't made a video on because it's kind of wrong to do it unless I actually cause the problem. But there's a couple of situations where you're driving through the countryside and you wind up in a zero cell phone area, zero cell service area. And it's not an emergency to life and limb, so I don't need to, and I'm licensed, so it's okay. I don't need to, break out all the big guns and complain. What I need to do is get out my HF radio that I carry with me at all times because I'm prepared and tune it to 14300 and put up my, end-fed half wave on my pole that I carry with me or throw it into a tree or something like that. And then call the Maritime Mobile Net and say, would you mind relaying a message to my my son, my daughter, my friend, whoever at this phone number and ask them to come bring me a gallon of gas. So it's a non-emergency emergency, if that makes sense. I mean, you could call CQ and hope that somebody answers you who is willing to help out, but people on the Maritime Mobile Net are actually like there waiting and eager to help. Like my chance has finally come.
So as opposed to a Mayday sitch, it's a pan.
Explain pan.
Mayday is hijacking aircraft going down, engines on
die.
fire,
Yep.
dead bodies. Yep. Jesus is coming. Elizabeth, I'm having the big one. Pan is like not going to die, but we need to get this situation handled.
I need some
that's
help.
That's probably more like the level of sick passengers on board, but the air crew is not incapacitated, or we're low on gas. We don't have to declare an emergency. I don't know where the line is between those two, but Mayday is immediately dangerous to life and health.
Right. So non-life threatening emergency. It's not technically an emergency, but I mean nobody is coming by this road for hours, and I will be sitting here for hours unless I call for help. So I mean, I can't reach the local repeater, or I would ask for help on the local repeater, and if I can't reach the local repeater, then I'm going to HF and
because I totally carry an HF radio on my small craft, as opposed to a Coast Guard certified floating waterproof HT with marine channels on it.
If you were in that
VHF.
situation, if you were in that situation where you were driving down a back road with no cell service, well, you just took the striker out of the car, so there goes 10, 11, and 12. What do? You just wait, hope somebody comes by.
I have food, a tent, ammunition. I'm good.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out some way. I mean, like, is ham radio relevant?
Yes, it could be used in an emergency situation. Is it relevant? No. There's so many other things that are probably a better solution than ham radio and repeaters. It's a hobby, not a service.
Right. Lewis is saying he's using a 6100 with an XPA. Okay, so hang on real quick. I 100% agree with you. Zero arguments. There is a hurricane that came through and wiped out your town. and FEMA has come in and declared a state of emergency. And if you've ever been in a FEMA state of emergency situation, they're not going to help you tell your mom that you're okay. And that's all your mom wants to hear. Like, hurricane went through Pitlala, Alabama. Is little Jimmy okay? And so you go to, the local ham radio club who's got a what do they call that? A health and welfare station set up. So they've got bottled water, they've got, radio. You can key up your, if they know what they're doing, don't get me wrong, you can connect your cell phone to their local network to send very, very small emails, which people are going to abuse and send photos of themselves showing that they're okay. Um, those kinds of things. So that's where ham radio comes in handy in an emergency situation. So yes, there's like levels of, stacking levels of emergency.
Ham till it hurts. I don't disagree with you. You're exactly correct. VHF is not going to work. When I'm talking small craft, I'm not talking the Titanic here.
Right.
Yes, any large vessel, whether it's
only the Maritime mobile net was there when the Titanic was faced
right,
with that iceberg.
Right. Thank God for the Carpathia. They saved the richer people at least.
Right.
But that's HF. And they've also got satellite links on everything. When I say small craft, I mean stuff that's probably within 60 miles of shore.
Right. So back to Lewis's question, you're overmodulating. What is the actual error message that the amp is telling you? Is it, well, I don't even know what they are off the top of my head, but if you tell me, it will remind me what's going on. Because if you're using the L4001 cable with those two devices, the amp will tell the radio to back off its signal and sort itself all out. So you don't actually have to even do anything. It's kind of all automatic. So I'll let you respond to that one as we go on to the next question. Eric was saying, what service do they actually provide? People have called for help on Maritime MobileNet and have received help. But this is also true.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
I appreciate that, Lon.
Don made a comment, and of course I think part of this is Don trolling, and I can't find it now. It's scrolled past. Don said radio is more accurate than radar. Yeah, because you've got an eyeball report. Yes, they can get a position fix better than radar. I mean, if you're looking out your window on the local Geyser tornado net and say, yep, there's a tornado in my backyard. Yes, that's very accurate. Hyper local information. Absolutely.
Are they both Fords? Yes, they are both Fords. And yes, they do suffer the exact same symptoms. They're both hesitating from poor fuel delivery. But I know in the Expedition it is a bad fuel pump because I have not wanted to replace it. I've been nursing it along. And in the 450, I don't really know what the problem is. It could be something as simple as dirty filters that need to be replaced, or it could be something more difficult, and I don't have the time nor the place to deal with it.
So Ham till it hurts must love the Maritime MobileNet because he ain't letting this bone go. I don't give a shit. It's fine. Whatever you want to do, Chief. Just let it go, man.
It's okay.
If you got an HF radio and you want to talk to the Geyser net instead of using any of the 50 other forms of communication that any boat that is offshore seriously would have, rock on. That's my entire point. There's like 100 other ways to get help in a boat besides getting on 14300 and hoping that the old guys are around to listen to you. That's the entire point. Yes, there's all sorts of things. Large craft are going to have HF. Motor yachts are going to probably have HF. And they're probably also going to have sat phones and a whole lot of other stuff, including weather radar. So
if there's a movie about Elon Musk,
I saw that. That was a good comment. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Michael's got the answer for your DR891. He's going to have it fixed and working before the end of the stream, and he'll help you out with your Windows tech support. Stephen King, before he became a crazy liberal cat lady, was a great writer. That's true.
Yeah, some of his better stuff was his older stuff.
Well, I think the best part about it is a lot of it was more thought-provoking horror than just, blood and gore. Like Nightmare on Elm Street is completely different than Stand By Me.
Yeah, not even scary. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, parts 1 through 75. None of those are scary. What's the one with Jason? Is that Halloween? That's Halloween.
Yeah.
But now, Salem's Lot was a mini series. That was a great vampire story, and the book was awesome. The movie, I mean, the mini series in the late 70s, early 80s, but.
So in the chat, let me see if I can find this. Where did it go? Matthew is asking about the FT818 battery upgrade. FT818 battery, I did a video on it, and there is a link for you, Matthew. It is a fantastic radio, and I really wish I had more time to play with it.
Now, which one is it? Is that the one that's like a all mode or 440, whatever?
It's the ICOM 703 equivalent. So it's a all band, all mode, but it's like this big. It's super tiny. It's like two HTs in size. That's actually pretty accurate, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I've done a bunch of videos on it. I really enjoy it. It's like the best part about Yaesu radios is the older they are, the more they make sense. But I've said this before, the 991A being sold brand new today doesn't work.
Yep. Mike, that's what I called it, was Captain Trips. Only the cool kids get that, Mike. Very good. The super flu. This is an awesome question. Did he prime you with this? Have radio will travel? Because he was, T.O., damn it, whichever way he is. T.O. was asking us this in our private Discord today about keeping up with repeaters. And I thought he had a great point. I never even thought about it. I think it's really cool. Tell them what you were, because it answers his question.
I was thinking about this, have radio will travel. The repeater allocations, the gentleman's agreement of where the repeaters should be, like at 14300, for example, are well known, and the inputs and outputs are well known. So a repeater at 145.85 with an offset of minus 600 is 145.25. And so we kind of know where these things are. But is 145.85 the repeater receive nationwide? Is that frequency always a repeater frequency everywhere you go, and that's where a repeater will be? Or is it 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, depending on how the old man decided to set it up at the club that day? And what I was thinking was, let me just program in, let me just imagine that all the repeaters are all the same and the input tones are different depending on where you are, and program them in without a repeater tone, because you can hear everything. Or if you put the tone in, then you can only hear the ones that broadcast that tone while broadcasting their signal. So as I drive, it's wide open, then I can hear traffic and then I can narrow it in. But otherwise, yes, you're absolutely correct. You have to go around and reprogram your radio every single time you go somewhere new, and it's a pain in the butt.
Now, some radios, Kenwood and ICOMs, their HTs, the D74, I assume the D75, and the ID, what's the sexy ICOM HT?
52.
The high dollar one.
I think it's the 52.
Yeah, and I don't know.
The 50 is the discontinued one, the 51 is the black and white, and the 52 is the color.
Yeah. 50 is discontinued? I thought 50 was like, no, 51 is discontinued.
Okay, 51 is discontinued, 50 is the new hotness. 50 is the monochrome 52.
Yes, that's right.
We're kind of arguing semantics at this point. Kind of the difference that doesn't matter.
I don't know if the lower end ID5X series radio does it, but the 52 does, and so does the D7XX Kenwood radios, the last two iterations, the 74 and 75.
And the 705 does it.
And the 705. And you can load a repeater database and enable the GPS, and it will change repeaters as you go.
I just wanted to highlight that comment.
I don't even know what he's talking about now. The Maritime MobileNet is GeezerNet.
Yeah,
there you go.
Talking about that.
I don't think so.
So you can, if you get a GPS lock on your radio, you can say, tell me the nearby repeaters, and it will program them.
Yeah.
And Mike, Ham Radio Tube in the chat, has an excellent video on how to get more analog repeaters instead of only D-star repeaters, because it's
Right.
by default D-star weighted.
It's
And
D-star weighted, yes. Now,
but
and
it's
scanners will
changeable.
do it too. The SDS 100 scanner from Uniden will GPS follow along too. And the beauty of that is you can scan whatever you want. Now, it don't do D-star. And then on the ICOMs and on the Kenwood too, I think you can pull up, you can manually do it
Like this, Chris.
by pressing nearby repeater list. And I think when you create that list, you can seed it with non-digital repeaters as well. You can make your own list as a subset of one of those. So like Southeast, or the Southeast part of the United States, and then I could add in Jim's list, which might have analog repeaters and so on and so forth.
Gray Man's asking about the Lab 599 needs a Digirig. I have a 599 and I have a Digirig in the bag with it, but I haven't even turned it on because I have so many other videos that I'm working on. It's ridiculous how big the backlog is. But I'm assuming yes is the answer.
Hamstick is asking how old the list is. Whenever they update it. Godspeed, son.
Right. I'm assuming it's as old as the repeater book list is, because somebody's got to maintain it. You know, there's nobody at nice.
I
thought the
didn't remember that,
700
Mike.
doesn't have
Very good.
GPS unless you add it, which is another thing.
Yeah, but it has, well, I think it's got a similar thing called nearby repeaters or repeater list, and you can drill into areas. So like again, Southeast, Alabama, Montgomery, or Birmingham or Mobile or whatever, and find repeaters. I don't think it's going to locate them, but. Lewis has a question.
Question using the 4100 cable. The other operator said I was over module. Oh, okay. So this is about the XBA 125 and the X6100. So you being overmodulated means you might have your mic gain turned up too high, or you might be swallowing the mic and shouting at the same time. And that's a totally different thing than the radio is overdriving the amplifier. So that XBA 125 amplifier is a pretty neat amplifier because it does have a lot of protection circuitry built in. So if you try to key up the amplifier in amplifier mode without the tuner on into an unmatched antenna, it'll complain and shut down, and you won't get any power out. It'll say high SWR and it'll save your life. And if you put 30 watts input into it and it only accepts 5 watts in, it will complain and shut down and save your life. And I thought you were talking about the amp's built-in protection features, but you're talking about overmodulated, yes. So if you know someone that you trust on the other end of the line, or if you've had a long QSO with someone who you feel is rather trustworthy, then ask them would you mind if I change some of my mic gain settings and, try to figure out what is better. And hams are happy to test this stuff because most hams love to experiment and love to test. So turn your mic gain up. How do I sound now? Wait for him to reply back. Turn your mic gain down. How do I sound now? And there are settings where you will sound very, very much like you're sitting in the chair next to me in the same room versus you sound like you're washed out on 1940s tube radios, or which I love, by the way, or you're crackling and throwing bacon out all over the mic. It could also be RFI getting into your shack issue. It could be a lot of different issues, but find somebody that you trust on the other end of the QSO and have a human conversation with them, and you'll take it better. You get better advice there. Doc Brad's asking about grounding. I don't ground. That's how I ground.
I have, what is my ground switch here? So I have a piece of copper pipe fastened to the wall, and I have that pre-tinned braid from DX Engineering from the back of the gear, each going to the copper pipe, and then I have a piece of, 12 gauge house wiring running around the office to the ground lug on the window pass-through, and then out there from the window pass-through on the other side going to the ground stake in the ground. So whatever, I think it's 12 gauge solid copper is what's running outside, and then the straps run to the ground to the copper pipe. Either way, You just want good connections, good wire.
ARL has a book on this called
Yeah.
Grounding and Bonding by Ward
Yep.
Silver. Is that the right guy?
Ward. Yep. N0AX.
And he is
Yep.
much smarter than all of us combined.
Yeah.
That's a high compliment to all of us because
We are not giving any grounding and bonding information on this show at any time because we're idiots that have a YouTube show, and you shouldn't listen to us really because your life and you need a licensed electrician. Go with God.
Right. William's asking, why is it all pagan words? Everything goes back to pagans, man. I don't know.
Right. William, Mayday is ancient. I mean, I don't know. I guess since they've had radio, they've been using Mayday. I don't know when Pan came about, but
he's saying Pan and Mayday and I'm not disagreeing.
Mayday is based on a pagan ritual, I think, or something like that. I don't know.
Don's having troubles.
Don's saying SOS.
I'm having chest pains.
Lee, copper pipe on the wall with plated copper strap. Yep. And supposedly, and I'm too cheap to spend the money on this, because I still have to pay for the flex stuff. But DX Engineering sells some really nice grounding packages. Now, I don't know if this is snake oil. I have no idea, but it looks really cool. They got a big plate, a copper plate that you set your gear on, and you bond everything to the plate. And then the plate is grounded out to your shack ground. I don't know that that's any better than my copper pipe, but I got the copper pipe at Lowe's. I sawed it to the length I wanted, put in some self-tappers, and Bob's your uncle.
Yep. Don't create ground loops, so pay attention to how you are actually grounding too.
And those kits were kind of expensive. I think they're well over $100 for some of those.
So Gray Man is saying, I think it's Pon for maritime and Pan for aviation, and it's Pompadon when you're having a good curry.
I don't know.
Pan from the French, I need more bread.
Right, a breakdown. Pané. If I said that right, I have no idea.
Well, like CQ comes from French too. Sécurité.
Okay, let's see.
I'm still scrolling. I'm still trying to catch up.
Ed, we need a disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah.
HK, that seems completely legitimate. Absolutely.
So you can actually go on Amazon and you can purchase a ground mat from our buddies over at G Gable Radio. It's meant to be the other half of the antenna. If you're in a truck like yours, Jim, you can hook it up to your 3/8 24 stud mount, and then it just provides the missing half of your aluminum truck.
Right.
Thank you, Adam.
Let's see. I'm kind of working my way up. John M.
Way down. We'll meet in the middle.
Before Mars radios were allowed, they used 14385 Global Emergency Center of Activity, GECOA. Frequencies were assigned 21.3, 18.1, 7.2, 7.0. Huh. Okay.
Nice.
Listen, I have nothing against the Maritime Mobile Net. My point is, if they're holding the frequency or acting like they're holding it when their net is not for another 6 hours, that's kind of BS. I think that's what started this whole thing.
Truck. I have had every vehicle, and every vehicle has broken down on me. It's fine.
You had a lot of problems with a certain computer, too.
I did, and I haven't had a problem since I sold it.
I just think you're cursed.
It's
professionally. That could very well be. Obviously, you're not doing too well tonight.
Right. I'm scrolling. Salem's Lot was a fantastic book.
Yes, loved it. I've read all the King books, all of them.
Eric, you ain't sailed until you've been, going flat out as fast as you possibly can in a sunfish.
Don is bitching about 14230. I think that's the SSTV channel, if I remember right.
Yeah, it is. Another beacon. Yep.
Don has his priorities straight. Let's see.
That was the grounding question from Brad. We got that. Thank you.
The use of Mayday and Pan Pan Pan, and you say either of them 3 times because you learn
Mayday,
this
Mayday,
when
Mayday.
you're getting your pilot license. It come from early aviation when the official language of aviation was French. Both are anglicized version of French terms. I don't know why it's French, and he's not wrong. We invented the airplane. The Montgolfier brothers hung around in a balloon, but America invented the airplane.
Right. So Jeff is saying power, antenna height, tones, propagation, all affect, let alone each state wants to do it their way. That is correct.
Yeah.
What I have learned here recently is that there may be a repeater that I am, like, so repeaters have these bubbles of propagation, which is what Jeff is talking about. And there might be just this little teeny tiny overlap between Wisconsin and Minnesota, for example, where, at me on the border, I mean, I can actually see Minnesota from my window, kind of like, what's her name? Could see Russia from her window. Um, so if they are on 146.85 as their repeater with a PL tone of 110.9, and I am on 146.85 as my repeater with a PL tone of 98, 67, whatever. I don't know. I'm making up numbers right now. Don't math on stream. We would be able to cohabitate the frequency fairly well together in the same sense that you can have 300 people on the 10th floor of the building and only 2 bathrooms. During field day, do the every Saturday at 7 net operators twitch as they are unable to kick everybody off their frequency? Probably. The Ole Miss net?
Yeah. Okay.
So Chris is asking, with the fancy AIOC that I finally got working, is there an app for Android to push repeaters near me to the radio? Maybe set up a certain range in memory for writing local repeaters to the radio. I don't think there's one for Android, no. There is the Repeater Book app with the Blue Cat, I think it's called Blue Cat device for the ICOM series radios, but it's like an extremely narrow use case. And it should work the way that you would like it to, but no one has made that app yet. So, take up the charge, please. That would be awesome.
David Wilson, as a mariner, Mayday and Pan Pan come from SOS that moved on once we moved to audio radios in the marine field. That's true, because SOS came about with the telegraph, because it was fairly easy even for a CW guy who can't CW anything except SOS. I can do that. In the marine field, it's very clear what both are used for. I think those who claim to own the net are wrong. Yes, you are correct, David Wilson.
So Taylor's talking about the SDS 100. Jim, you have one of these. Does it have
Yes.
a repeater directory that you can routinely download from, or do you use that radio reference website that you have to pay for?
You can use Uniden will update it. You can update it. I think you can update it from Radio Reference too, but you can get updates from Uniden however often they publish them. Yes. And you, similar to the way ICOM does it, you can tweak it so that you don't get certain things if you don't want them. Like I don't want the county trash collectors in every county between here and Huntsville, but I might want fire. Generally all I listen to is fire anyway. Fire and Popo maybe between here and Huntsville. So then that's what I get for all those counties.
And 48 minutes, 59 seconds until Jim mentions he was a firefighter on stream.
I never said I was. I just said that's what I listened to. You said I was.
Yeah. We understand.
But just to point out, there it is.
There's
okay.
Fire Chief hat. Yep.
Yep.
So Don is saying, but I use APRS, and so what good is an ICOM radio then? Don, I retort, I rebuke, I debate you heartily and welcome. All radios that have built-in APRS suck. Let's just put that on the table first. And then the fact that ICOM uses DPRS doesn't make it any better for ICOM winning that argument. Use Craig's DigiPi KM6LYW and a little Raspberry Pi Zero device, and then you'll have full APRS.
Jody brings up a good point. I forgot about this one. CQD was prior to SOS. Yeah.
I think they sent both, but
I don't know.
They were just panicking and doing everything they could.
We can ask Chuck the next time we have him on the show because he would know.
I want to say that
he was there.
I could be wrong because I think I put this in my list to listen to and never got around to it. But I think there's a recording of the Titanic's calls on YouTube. Like somebody way back when recorded it. I don't know. I don't know if they had the recording technology then.
I don't know what they would have had to record on. I don't know when Edison invented the wax recording thing. I have no idea.
Right. The Automaster software from H3 from TID Radio, the Automaster software for the TID Radio devices, let's just make it that way, has a nearby repeater selection when you select the repeater option. Not bad.
Yes, Izzo, Chuck was on the Titanic. He was the radio operator that called the Carpathia during the incident.
Right. Repeater Book has a bunch of inactive repeaters in my area. Those are maintained not by Repeater Book, but by the people that own the repeaters. And if they go SK, then no one told Repeater Book to take them back out. It's not the hero we need, but it's the hero we have situation.
Yeah. Taylor said there is a recording of it. It's like 55 minutes long. I'm going to have to go find that.
Yeah. And there's also like a couple of the Apollo missions recorded, which I want to listen to. But finding an hour to listen to something in my life is not easy.
What about the Radio Oddities GA5WB's APRS? EP is asking.
So you mean this radio's APRS?
Yes.
It is fantastic because it is not built into the radio. It is built into your cell phone.
There you go.
So this actually, I need to make a video on it, and there's an interesting story behind all of this, which is why I won't be making a video on the Radio Oddities built-in APRS, but instead I'll be making a video on the Vero VGC's VRN76's APRS functionality that it uses.
That looks pretty beefy.
It is. It's pretty. This is the one I brought to Hamvention that we were playing
with. Okay.
It has a Bluetooth connected cell phone app that will let you program the radio. It will let you talk through the phone. So if you have a headset programmed to your phone connected to your radio, you can talk through those three devices onto your local repeater. It will do APRS, iGate, digipeating, beaconing, messaging, all from the built-in app that comes with it. The app is free, but you need to pay like almost $200 for the radio. I want to say the Radio Oddity is $179, $175, and the Vero is $181, $182.
And those are just analog radios, right? Those are not DMR.
Yeah, 2 meter, 70 centimeter analog only. So I learned this today. I said it wrong in the video and had to edit it back out. GA. So G is Radio Oddity's designation for their radios. A is analog. 5W is 5 watts, and B is Bluetooth. GA-5WB. That makes sense almost. So the GD88 is their radio, G, D, digital, and I don't know what the 88 stands for. I haven't learned that much yet, but I'm getting there. One day at a time, folks.
The 88th iteration of the radio?
Right. Well, so the GD88 is the same as the DB25-D and the DB40-D in terms of OS, in terms of firmware on the radio. It's just the 88 is maybe it's 8 watts, because the 25 is 25 watts and the 40 is 40 watts. So, yeah. But it's a very functional, very useful tool on the radio, and it looks just like your text messaging. You have somebody's message over here, and then you reply, and then it stacks them up like it looks in your text messaging text messaging software. Are there issues with 64-bit Pi software and Wi-Fi stability? I keep having to restart Network Manager, and that rarely works. There is an issue with the latest version of Pi OS, which is the latest version of Debian.
Is that Bookworm?
I always get it backwards. I don't know if it's Bookworm or Bullseye. I think Bullseye.
I think that's. Yeah, I think it's Bookworm. Yeah. Is that on a 5 or a 4?
Well, you can load the newer version of the OS on the older 4s. So I always stay with just the older version. So I would try that first, unless you have too much inbuilt, and then I would just try doing, apt-get until it hurts.
I didn't know Don had any Pis, because I know he was buying. He's been pimping B-Links and all that kind of stuff.
He is pi averse.
I mean, he's almost as pi averse as the Smoking Ape is rig expert averse.
Yeah. So, Lewis, you're at 9 call. I'm in Wisconsin. I won't be able to help you for 2 reasons. One, I don't have a radio set up. And 2, we're probably too close to have a chat over HF. But, any QSO that you do, like call the Maritime Mobile Net on 14300. They'd be happy to talk to you. I caught the tail end of the grounding presentation at Hamvention, and she was saying that grounding is a myth. And I agree with her sentiment that I think was lost on some of the people in the audience. She was saying more like what we like to say, which is get on the air and then solve problems after you've gotten on the air. Because I haven't run with an official ground solution since I started doing ham radio. Yeah, could be that Don is trolling. I never thought of that.
Don, you might have a problem if you stopped after 15.
Right.
I do not have a 5. I can't remember. I've got 2 Pi 4s here in the office. This one is a Pi 4 2 gig, I think, and the one behind me is a Pi 4 8. But I don't remember which OS I'm running on them. I want to say it's probably Bullseye. I don't think it's Bookworm.
So Marvin is correct. Go to a commercial radio site and see the grounding system. I went to the Voice of America site in Westchester, Ohio, and the building, it's a myth because I didn't actually get a shovel out and dig, but it's probably not a myth. The entire building is surrounded by copper plate buried in the ground. The entire building is a ground plate. It's amazing. The antenna switch, the antennas are gone. They took those down in the mid 90s, I think. But the antenna switch and the dummy load building are still there. You drive through the switch, the antenna switch. You can take your truck through it. That's how big it is. It's pretty awesome. What's the name of the other HT with APRS? So these are the twins. Let's see if I get the camera angle right. Of course not.
Oh my God. AMRAD podcast dropped up in the chat. Hey, Derek.
Hey,
what's
Derek.
up, brother?
So the top one is the Vero VRN76, and the bottom one is the Radioddity GA-5WB. So there's your links. And I have a video on the GA-5WB, and I just recorded the one on the Vero today that will go out sometime soon. I recorded part 1 and part 3 of a 3-part series. I have to record part 2 now.
Iceman's wanting to know, he said he can't move his WSJTX main window on a Pi 400. It's stuck in the center.
Control space, which will pull up the corner
The little,
menu.
Yep.
And then down arrow, or hit M for move, and then use the arrow keys. But once you hit M for move, you can then grab it with the mouse. Well, you can then move the mouse, and it will be weirdly attached. It'll make sense when you do it. The WSJTX requires a certain screen resolution, and the button to do the thing is probably off of your screen's visible area. That's my suggestion.
My WSJTX on Windows or a Mac. So
yeah, he's probably running like 1280 by 720 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. The Don has been a member for 43 months.
Hey, Don. Thank you.
He said he's going to go back to Bullseye and try it. I got to think, Don, I'm on Bullseye here because neither one of these are wired in, and I haven't had any weird Wi-Fi problems.
My place in the chat.
I think we've covered everything, unless you're looking at really old stuff.
I was coming from the top down, and somehow I jumped to Don's comment.
Marvin posted some great pictures in the Field Day channel on Toads for his Field Day setup. But Marvin has a question. He has 2 older Tough books that are Win 7 32-bit. I want Hammers on it, but Hammers is 64-bit. So do I go Linux, and is there another bit of software?
Hmm. So
That's a
yes, go
TO
Linux.
question. Uh,
You
y-
would have to you'd have to get the 64-bit version of Windows to do it, which would require a complete reload of the machine. So 601?
Well, I mean, those tough books are probably 32-bit processors.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know without.
Pentium Pentium 4 was a 64-bit processor, wasn't it?
No, really?
It's been around for a long time, like 2000, mid 2000s, 2000 to
Yeah, it's been a
2009,
minute. I don't remember
which is why
when.
it's funny that 64-bit OSs are just now becoming popular.
Was it? I remember. I remember the 64-bit version of Windows XP. I thought I was
Hmm.
badass because I had that.
And the what was it? It wasn't PXE. PAE was how you got greater than 64 megs of memory or something like that.
Yes, it was some kind of weird thing.
You had to have a
That.
special version of Windows.
Yeah. There's some prehistoric Windows foolishness in there.
See, Marvin, I want to have something named after me. Like George Ohm's law, Like could you I said this before, could you imagine like you're at your local ham club talking with the guys? Hey guys, I came up with this thing. I call it McGrane's law. Here's what I think. Oh, shut up, Steve. Like if I tried to tell you I discovered some new law of physics, you just laugh at me. You tell me how
Right.
I was wrong for hours.
Well, I've heard you try and explain electricity, and I chuckle every time that comes up.
Usually it's
So,
because I'm talking about something that you're not hearing. We're not on the same frequency.
yeah, that's right. Do not take electrical advice from Steve.
Yeah,
Just
see, this is what I was talking about.
now, your mic is
18,000.
cutting in and out. You're going from very full and rich to like you're on a radio from 1971.
It's probably internet issues.
Okay. I mean, the audio hasn't dropped. It's just the.
Yeah, I'm undermodulated to go back to what Lewis was talking about. 18,793 2-meter and 70 centimeter band repeaters in the US, which only use 1,303 frequencies. I thought 1,303 was a bit much. Not that I'm arguing. I mean, it's a shocking number either way. But yeah, so program in 1,303 frequencies is what I was thinking.
Uh,
All right, I just got lost. I'm just going to go into the starred comments. What do we got? We answered that one. The VOA museum changes its displays routinely. I won't say how often, but they do change them routinely, and there's some really good stuff there. And we've got some good friends that are willing to give you the Ham Insiders tour because WC8VOA, the Westchester Amateur Radio Club, has their headquarters there.
I'm a member.
So yeah, so our friend Jocelyn is on
Jocelyn
there.
is
Mark is
awesome.
there, and they do open houses around the same time as Dayton Hamvention.
Yeah, and I feel ashamed. I've been to Dayton twice and haven't made it to VOA yet. I've seen Jocelyn at Hamvention, but I've never been over to VOA.
So they're saying the recording of the Titanic audio was
A
a
reenactment.
reenactment.
I didn't think there was actual recording.
It's not beyond possibility, but I mean, somebody would have to be listening at that time.
As far as I remember, and I'm fuzzy on the dates, but
You
the first
said
recording,
73.
the first recording was Thomas Edison with wax cylinders,
Hmm.
and that's how they recorded stuff. But I mean, I don't know how much time you could get on a cylinder before you had to change it, and you'd have to have it hooked to the radio. And I think the only way it got input was analog, not directly wired. This is way out of my wheelhouse. But in 1912, I think that would have been probably the only way to record anything, because I don't think magnetic tape came in until the late 30s, early 40s.
Super genius is asking a question. I don't know if I could actually answer this in the presence of such genius. Best no tuner antenna for QMX version 1.17 software. I have several answers for you. You can find them at coffeeandhamradios.com. The first choice would be our NFED half wave kit, which will get you 4 bands. 40, 20, 15, and 10, and there
Yep.
wouldn't be any tuner required. And then the
Yep.
second one would be our Mercury linked dipole kit, which would get you whichever bands you cut it for, and then it's resonant on those bands.
Yeah, Jeff, I
How's
don't
that?
know, man. I wasn't there. I understand reel-to-reel tape and everything forward from that. Beyond that, I don't know what would have been.
John is asking me about the Quanchang UV-K5, 6, and 8. I don't know if there's a K7 yet. And the firmware versions available, I was able to send APRS with the latest firmware. I have one of those radios that a friend of ours, Tom, gave me at Orlando Hamcation in February, and it's still in the box because I haven't gotten that far down the list of projects. Push the Poseidon. Oh, that's right, Jody. But the Poseidon's not a no-tune antenna. You need a tuner.
Yep.
Need a tuner. So I actually really appreciate the Quanchang radio for what it's done for ham radio. A modern hackable radio has reinvigorated the same way that the Baofeng UV5R has reinvigorated the hobby. Somebody was telling me about on my video today, I did a video on my original Baofeng, and he said that he got his for like $12 back when it was brand new. Nice.
I think Huan Shang could be the Baofeng killer. It certainly seems like a better quality produced radio than your average Fang.
I got you, Frank. I think I danced for this though.
He posted that a long time ago and it got missed, and then he made some sad comment a little minute ago, and I was just going to keep ignoring him. I danced. This is the time on Sprockets when we dance.
Jeff, what new POTA software? The Polo Logger? Or is there another new software that has come out in the last month that I've missed? 64-bit Linux since the 2000s. Yep. Tio's postulate, yes. Until it gets proven. Tio's Razor. Oh, I like that even better. There's
Don
some
is
really
one.
good razors out there.
Don, I
What's
have
it?
no idea why it's flashing. He was saying that the light's flashing.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not even, I don't have smart SDR up.
I want to say it's Occam's razor, which is, and I'm
It's
probably
Occam's
quoting it
razor.
wrong. Never let that which could be attributed to stupidity be
Mm-mm.
attributed to malice or.
Nope. The simplest answer is usually the correct. That's Occam's razor.
Okay, so I'm talking about somebody else's razor. Maybe it's
You're
Handler's
somebody else's razor. Gillette's
still a good
razor.
one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It is a good one.
Well, so
Occam's razor is the simplest answer is usually the correct answer.
Yeah. So it's like the answer to all things, all questions about Trump. And I'm not a Trump lover or Trump hater, so don't get me wrong about that. But it's like
Just all y'all calm the hell down right now.
It's just stupidity. It's not malice. Am I chaperoning Yoda Camp? No, I am not. It's out of the country again this year, and I am trying my best to not get a passport because if I leave the country, I might not come back.
Yeah, good point.
Liberty Cave is also a member. Thank you, Liberty.
Oh, the Westchester County. That's when he posted that, was when we were talking about the radio club up there in Dayton.
A super member got missed a while ago. Frank is just on it tonight.
I think Frank is talking about Frank.
Yeah, I think Frank is talking about Frank. Whew. Tim is such a happy little girl. Okay.
I don't know, Don. It's blue. It works just fine. I'm not worried about it. Is it blue because Smart SDR is off? I mean, I don't have any software running the radios on. Don, you're weirding me out.
You can join the Canadian Mounties. I could. I know how to ride a horse. It's been on video.
Smart SDR is connected. Still blue.
It's an artifact on the camera.
No, it's blue.
It looks green to me. I
Oh,
trust you that it's blue. I'm saying it's the camera. It's the light.
oh, see, Don thought it was blue, and it is blue because I wasn't sure if it
I
was the
see the
camera or something
the
else.
lower
But
light, the lower from my perspective, the lower left of the screen has a green light, and then the flex swooshes are bluish. They're kind of more whitish than bluish,
yeah,
and then the flex power light is purple.
no, it's blue, and I'm in Smart SDR, and it's receiving. It's on 15 meter FT8 right now. I don't know, Don.
EP's asking if I'm getting the new Chunky Boy UV25. Not yet. Not yet. And I caught up to the bottom of the chat, so we're gonna need some fresh questions. We got like 20 minutes left, folks. I'm worn out from scrolling.
Oh,
Mouse
Dennis
finger.
just 7.3 ham radio just rolled up in the house. I mean, a day late and $1 short, but hey, Dennis. I think we caught all the questions, dude.
Is this a Motorola shape
Frank could answer that.
or Shane? What is your best-selling antenna? That's a question for Jim. I bet
Apollo.
it's the Fed halfway. Yeah.
It's the Apollo. Poseidon is a close second, and then after that it's Aries and Mercury, not as common.
Yeah.
Because the dipole, while the Mercury is a great link dipole, and you can make it basically whatever you want, not everybody's got room for a dipole. The beauty of the Apollo is you can make it, a sloper, an inverted L, an inverted V.
The Frank has spoken. This is a Motorola shape. I thought it was. But you can get this radio in Motorola color. So the Apollo is probably our best-selling antenna because of time in the hole. It's been the one that we've sold the longest. I want that radio with Bluetooth hand mic. Where can I buy that? Chris, let me get you some links.
Lincoln, bro. Radio Diddy.
No, that's the Vero.
That's the Vero. Okay.
And then make sure you pick the right color. Is that gonna work? Oh, it went through 2. Jeez.
Force 5 says his Artemis SWR has spiked. I wonder if your wire has stretched out. Potentially.
And no, why did you do that?
Is that a CB ham till it hurts? If that's a CB, the answer is no. I thought Tech was out of business.
No. Tech has changed hands. They might be on their 3rd owner now.
Yeah, okay.
It's the only U.S. radio manufacturer still around, I believe, but only because it's changed.
I'll have to look. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've seen old Techs. I didn't know Tech was still actually a thing.
I want a Tech Scout with the full complement of replacement band modules because it's a neat design. It does speaker wire stretch, yes. And then my first HF radio was a Tech Jupiter, which is a pretty cool radio. It's like has a ton of features buried behind even worse menus than Yaesu.
Oh my God. You're gonna trigger Chuck on that.
Amateur radio perfection. Oh, there you go, Tech Omni. That looks relatively modern. That actually looks like the Jupiter in modern day clothing.
That says new.
Yeah.
That's a chunky boy.
I mean, the Jupiter is like a 1990s, no, early 2000s radio. Tech Eagle, nice. Argonaut.
Oh, now what is that?
I'm going to assume it's a repeater by its form factor, but
DSP receiver. The Tech RX 331 is a multi-mode HF receiver operating from 5 to 30. Fully state-of-the-art, blah, 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 blah. Huh. Okay. That looks kind of awesome.
I like that. That would work well in my RV. It wouldn't fly off the shelf.
I mean, this looks like official, right? Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. I picture
Right.
Armstrong talking into a receiver that looked about like that.
Patriot. Is that actually a radio? A radio
I
with
don't,
no VFO?
it's got a tuner. Huh. Okay, see, this puts me off right here. Really? Y'all can't take a better picture?
Potato. The Titanic video was compiled from actual ship transmission logs that communicated with the Titanic. Everything was documented from the official inquiry in 1912. Nice.
Nice. Okay.
How far apart should the antennas be for two 2-meter radios? That's an actual fantastic question, Eric. I don't have an official answer, but I would assume at least 6 feet apart. But, the farther the better. And it has more to do with power and takeoff angles, in my mind.
I wish Gendron, is Gendron still on here? Because this is like a phasing thing, I think, too. Right?
Yeah.
Chuck has talked about this once on our chat, too. But I don't know.
Grayman wants to know if SSB is a form of AM. So, I mean, Eric, because it's 2 meters, the easiest thing to do is make sure that your antennas are either cross polarized so they don't interfere as much, and then your takeoff angle on this antenna is going to go over, well, no, it's actually going to go under that one. And then this one here is going to have a different radiation pattern, but you'd be able to like physically walk them apart so that they don't interfere with each other. Oh, Frank's calling him out.
I don't know if John's still here. And if John's here, he heard me say it, Frank. So
Right. And Todd's saying if you space them perfectly, each becomes a reflector for the other in opposite directions. But a lot of people will run a regular 2-meter radio in their car and also have a 2-meter APRS radio that's beaconing, and they will obviously collide with each other because of cars not being more than 6 feet wide.
well, as I'm pulling the CB out of my truck, I want to replace it with that Yaesu 2880 or 2800, whichever one it is I bought from Tom, because that's going to be on 14652, and then I'm going to have APRS on the BVFO of my 500, and they'll be on the same. I mean, one antenna is on the door and one is on the bumper.
Marvin's going to spend time with his grandkids.
See you, Marvin.
I guess if we really wanted to be pedantic, your first harmonic is the frequency you're transmitting on, which I don't agree with, but it makes the math make sense in your physics class. And your second harmonic would then be your children. But I understand exactly what you're saying because I'm not a pedantic SOB, grumpy old man. Get off my lawn. Yes, I am. Sorry. I just put somebody in timeout because the chat scrolled by fast enough. Whoever I put in timeout, I'm sorry. It wasn't for you. It wasn't on purpose. It was the question you were trying to post up, Jim.
Don's calling it a phased array.
If they are attached, yes.
Jody says 1 wavelength is recommended, 3 is preferred.
Agreed.
So on 2 meters, you're talking 10 feet of separation. So if you've got a truck, an antenna on your bumper and an antenna on your rear bumper, and you're in a real size car.
So the person that I messed up was Amateur Radio Caps. I greatly apologize. That was a wrong click as things scrolled by too fast.
I think that was the one I tried to put up there.
The link moved out from underneath of me while I was trying to re-highlight the comment, and it moved from highlight to delete to ban to you're gone. So my apologies. Totally an accident. But I didn't see your comment, so I mean, you could have said something that we should have banned you for. So the jury might still be out. Just joking. Now I got to figure out where to remove that.
You have to go in the channel.
In the studio, yeah.
I think so.
Settings.
So Chris KI for Whiskey Charlie Oscar has been a member for 2 months, and he wants to know when we're going to make a switchable Ballon.
Good question. That seems like it would be
I think I've seen one or two out there.
We're talking like single pole double throw?
Did Ziggy make something like that? He's crazy enough to have made one.
I don't doubt it.
That man has the mind of a mad scientist.
Users. Approved users.
Chris, we will take that up in committee at Coffee and Ham Radios at our next business meeting.
We would have to make a new, I guess we'd have to make a box. And so the Kronos is the one that we're trying to work on the box for.
Yes. And I don't even know where we are on that project. I have the parts. I need to migrate mine from the winder to the box. I just haven't done that. That'd be a great video to do if only I had a YouTube channel.
Right.
Oh, wait. I do.
And what is that channel?
Oh, I wasn't trying to throw out unlike some other people in the chat whose name rhymes with crank. But it's FEP Labs Radio. No, I got all the parts I need to do that, and it would make a great video.
The VGC VRN7500 seems like an interesting car radio. Chris Bricker, I will give you the massive
Cool
tip that I want to do soon, but don't know that I can. So there's two things. Capor Ride, I don't know how to pronounce the name, makes an Android Auto head unit car stereo type device, but it's Android. And I don't know if it's locked down with Android Auto stuff or if it will just do regular Android Auto apps, which then you can get a big like 7-inch screen to replace your car stereo. And then you can control the VR7500 APRS app, whatever, by loading it on that screen. That is neat. Another neat thing is to have it in the rear view mirror because they make Android rear view mirrors for cars, and that would be pretty slick. I have no idea. Can you read that? I can't read that.
It's some budget YouTube channel. I don't know. I do like his picture though with the eyebrow. That's good.
Yes, Ken is absolutely correct. The N7500 is the big brother of the N76.
I did a video on the N7500 like 3 years ago. I thought it was a decent radio. We gave it away on car.
Yeah.
One night.
And they're not expensive. I saw one in
it was
for like 125.
Yeah, I think I bought the one I had for 150 from R&L.
Yeah. Young Vegans YouTube. YBY.
I do have one comment I want to drop out to the people tonight. We have talked before. I know Ape has said it. I'm pretty sure you didn't have to solo me, but okay. I'm pretty sure T.O. has
talking from the bully pulpit.
Right. T.O. has said it. Y'all be careful when you're buying some of this test electronic gear. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is. There is a dingus on Amazon that I got sent by the manufacturer. And it is a flaming dumpster fire of dog crap. It does not work. It lies. It just doesn't work. The documentation doesn't cover half the things that it says it does. It's terrible. And the company that sent it to me, hey, we'd like you to test this thing. And I'm like, oh, gadget dingus, right? I love it. And it's junk. I mean, I don't even want to do a video because one of y'all might accidentally buy it when you're drunk or something.
It's a weird situation because the company, and I know some of the stories, so I'm not, trying to call Jim out, but the company that sent this to Jim is not the company that makes the product, and the company that sent it to Jim is not RF aware, I guess
at
you
all.
would say.
Yes.
So I got, and I'm in the same scenario, and I can actually call it out because I did a video on it, and my comments are already public. But Banggood is a retailer, not the one that Jim's talking about, that sent me the ATU 100, and they sell car parts and disc cloths and amateur radio gear. So take it for what it's worth when you receive it. It's not Banggood's fault. and I don't fault Banggood for any of it, but they sent me this device to, help get some business their way, and whoever assembled it didn't know what ham radio was, and you could tell.
And we've seen this
Yes,
before,
Mike.
but the point of the comment was that, like, because Ape is an acolyte, an apostle
Not the ghost detector.
of the Nano VNA and also the Tiny SA. And there are a bunch of clone skis out there of those. So you need to buy that kind of stuff from a source that is not selling. And Amazon, yeah, they probably got 15 or 20 people selling Tiny SAs and Nanos, some of which actually are legitimate sellers and some of which are not. And this device is actually not something that this company even made, as Tio mentioned. It's an open source project that some company took and poorly built, and they got another vendor to sell it. And just be wary of buying some of this stuff. And I'm not saying all Chinese vendors are sketchy. That's not the point.
No.
But be aware of what you're buying on Amazon, because there's a lot of fakes, especially of some of this lower end electronic testing gear. That's the stuff I look at most of the time.
Yeah.
So
it's not the Tiny Rig or the SA Expert or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
another device. And honestly,
it's a device we haven't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I bet you just got a bad one, and if you went through the normal returns process and got another one, you might do better.
That's why I emailed her. I have it published in a video, and I emailed her and said, what do you want me to do? Because
It could be a big customer service win video, like, hey, I got this poor POS and it didn't work, and I reached out to them and they said, send it back, we'll send you another one, and they did, and the second one worked. Ta-da!
yeah, well, first of all, Bryant Wally, I didn't pay for it. The company sent it to me on T&E, test and eval. If I had paid for it, I would have been somewhat chapped,
Which technically means you've paid more for it than if you would have bought it.
I guess. Why does
Because
it
of all
mean
the
that?
hours.
Oh,
hours
yeah.
spent making the video.
The time
and editing.
dinking with it, yeah.
Yeah. Nothing is free. There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Exactly. So just be aware that, and when Ape says buy it from RNL or a known vendor,
Yep.
much as I hate to agree with the geezer.
Andy, every silver lining has a cloud.
John, July 4th.
Yes, July 4th. We're actually going to do it earlier on in the day, aren't we?
That's fine with me, because most of these guys will either be hammered or watching fireworks, right?
Or both.
Or both, hammered and watching fireworks. Or if
Hammered
they're really
watching
having fun,
fireworks
they're
that they lit off
hammered
themselves.
playing with fireworks that they're lighting off themselves.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. We talked about this briefly, but I don't know what time we want to do it early. Is there something talking at your house?
No,
Because I hear words in my head.
I can't help you with that. I know you do. We've had this conversation, or at least the voices in your head have talked to me about it.
Okay. It's weird.
Frank, I don't control when you sleep. See,
Yeah.
even Dennis knows.
Yeah.
Alexa remind me to drink earlier on the 4th.
So yes, it will be the 4th. Do you have any idea what time we want to do it? We're talking like mid-afternoon or something?
I don't know. I like every other red-blooded American on the planet, I have the day off, but I don't know what I'm going to do other than work.
Be recording videos, probably, knowing you.
That's what I do. You can't publish a video a day if you don't record a video a day.
Hammered, fireworks, FT8 poker, and POTA. There you go. If you POTA on Independence Day and you're drinking and your FT8 poker contacts are POTA contacts, we'll set it up so you can have quad points, but we need proof of how hammered you are.
And it needs to be a federal park, not a state park.
Why federal park?
Because it's Independence Day.
Oh, good point.
It's a federal holiday, not a state holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't go out to the lower Muskogee State Wildlife Refuge. You got to go to like a federal park. And if you get hammered in the Grand Canyon while you're doing POTA, that is like quadruple points.
So StreamYard consumes less battery power than, sorry, StreamYard consumes less AC power than Zoom does.
Yes.
I've been running on a battery since Sunday morning.
Makes perfect.
31%. Why does it make sense?
Because I would assume that Zoom is handling a lot of the video processing locally on your CPU, whereas StreamYard, obviously the browser does not have a full video processing suite. So you're just shoveling raw bits up to StreamYard and they're handling all the all the voodoo.
I could agree with that. I'm testing out that big 67-pound battery I showed you.
Yeah.
And I unplugged from the AC outlet on the wall and plugged in my entire desk to the battery at 94% Sunday morning, and it's at 31% 8 p.m. Monday evening. So 2 full days without a charge.
It depends, Hacks. Are you hammered? Are you playing FT8 poker and calling it a POTA at the same time? That could be a 100x multiplier.
I don't want to. Please don't do that. If you were hammered at the National Mall with a large bit of wire in the air, I bet the Secret Service would have something to say with you.
Probably. James Whited got his general. You know you're a /AG. Did you get? Are you official, James? Because even if you're not official, you can say /AG.
I think he came on the stream yesterday and we talked to him about that.
I think he did too. Don Digidio, take care, brother.
See you, Don.
Kyle is live streaming now.
Go see Kyle. Tell him we sent
Kyle. Oh, Jason, this is excellent. Throwing tea bags in the ocean while doing FT8 and saying, "Suck it, King."
Yeah, connect them to the end of your ground radials.
That's right.
Or in this case, your ocean radials, because there's no ground out there.
You still a /AG, James. Go operate in the general band.
Go forth and conquer. Have a blast.
John got his extra last Friday and his general the Friday before that. Very good.
Working hard, brother. Congrats.
All right.
Lee says no thanks on CW.
Right, Lee, I'd watch, but I wouldn't even know what he was saying. He could be talking crap the whole time.
All right, fellas, I'm hitting the button. Thank you all for joining. We answered a whole lot of questions and we asked a whole lot more, so we gave you something to think about. Have a good one. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, everybody in the chat.
See you guys.